Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to my beginner's guide to Spider-Man. With this series of videos we will showcase various different heroes available in Marvel Heroes Omega, and we'll show off such things as their core mechanics, their skills, their costumes, and then we'll do some gameplay run-throughs as well. So that way if you're on the fence as to whether or not to unlock a character, this will hopefully give you a good idea. So first up for the video, we'll have a look at the primary attributes, offensive and defensive traits, the synergy, and also the insignia affiliation for Spider-Man. So we start off here by looking at the offensive trait, and this is Spider DNA. Now the archetype is fighter. You gain a bonus to the attribute strength and also fighting, and you also have a 15% crit damage there. So if you're looking to stack an attribute, go for fighting because that gives you the crit rating multiplier. For the defensive trait we have Spider Sense. With this you gain a flat 3% dodge rating, and you also have a multiplier to defense and dodge. The archetype is versatile. We then look at his resource, and this is Web Fluid. Now this regenerates at a rate of 15% per second whilst you're in combat. So what you want to do is stack as much of this as you can, so you can get to a point where you can actually use all your skills and your spender without actually running out of spirit at all. For me it was round about the region of 1000 webbing was enough to do this, so bear that in mind. Next up we have the synergy. Overall it's a 4% dodge rating multiplier, not something I would really use personally. I'd much rather go for damage. 4% rating multiplier overall isn't a lot, you won't see a great jump up from actually using that. For the insignias we have the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Marvel Knights and also Shield. So with this selection, if you're going for range Spidey you could maybe use Wasp. If you're going for melee Spidey you'll think about using Mockingbird. So there's a lot of options there. And with the actual core of the hero covered, let's have a little look at the costumes now. As always with this series of videos, we start off by looking at the default costume. Recently had a visual update and looks fantastic now. We then have the Iron Spider costume. This is an enhanced costume and it looks great when you do the attacks with all the iron tentacles hitting enemies. We then have Spider-Gwen, another enhanced costume. I really do love the visual design of this actual costume and that comic as well. And then we have the Back in Black one. So this is another really nice looking costume. Recently had a visual update. I'm a big fan of this one. And finishing up, we'll have a look at the Civil War costume from the recent movie. This is good. It's a nice faithful adaptation. The whole size of him and dimensions really do remind me of him in the film, that great cameo we had. But next up, let's have a look at the signature and ultimate skills. For the signature we have a skill called Amazing Smash. So he'll jump up and slam down with a load of webbing and hit all enemies round him. It will do a flat damage portion, also does dot damage, immobilize, and also regenerates 100% of your webbing as well there. Now you can modify it via talents to either increase your dodge rating, do knockback, or remove the dot and do extra damage. So there's quite a few options there which is really quite nice. But let's now have a look at the ultimate skill. For the ultimate we have a skill called Maximum Spider. Now with this he'll leap about hitting enemies and he does up to 25 hits. So if you're using it on a boss, take out the trash first so the full 25 hits go on the boss to whip them down. It also has a steroid portion to it as well, and that will increase your damage, your crit and brute rating, and also your regen health. So overall it's really quite a nice ultimate. With the signature and ultimate now covered, what we'll do anyway is have a look at the actual different trees he's got. And what we'll do in the first gameplay preview is we'll run through and show off the melee skills in the Shocker terminal. First up then we'll have a look at the melee skills on him, and we do have 4 in total. There's other skills that pad out this build, but they have either ranged or movement tags. What we'll do is we'll have a better look at them and the tooltips associated with them in the next 2 follow-up gameplay videos. But for the purpose of this one here, we start off by looking at the main spender, and that would be Spider Brawl. Normally that's just a basic skill and it won't use any webbing. If you use a talent you can do more damage with it, but then it would start to use webbing, so that can be quite useful if you're a new player, don't have a high amount of webbing for sustain, then just keep it as a basic. It also gains a bonus based on your dodge rating. Next up we have Web Sling Kick. This is another skill that actually gains a bonus on your dodge rating. And then we have Arachnid Assault, which is really good, and this one can get you at a difficult spot because you'll do 4 hits, you've just seen it there, and whilst doing those hits you'll actually be invulnerable, so it's on a relatively low cooldown. It's a good skill to use if you're fighting off against a boss that are about to do one of the big hitting attacks. Just quickly fire that off there. The final skill we look at, this is a bit of a divisive one and I don't know if I'm entirely sold on it myself, but for the purpose of showing off these skills in the videos, it's Web Wrecking Ball, where you'll get 2 big chunks of scenery and spin round hitting enemies with them. It's a bit of a strange one, but it's a not bad trash clearer I suppose because you can spam it, but overall not massively sold on it. But here we go, we'll show it off anyway so you can see it. Really is a bit of a strange skill. Yeah, I don't think I'm sold on that at all, but I showed it off for anyone anyway that's on the fence about unlocking Spidey, so let's now take down Shocker, and then once we've done that we will have a look at the range side of things when we go up against Doc Ock. You can see he's got good mobility with his dashes as well as he's moving about the screen, and there's Arachnid Assault there, giving us invulnerability. But there we go, nice and easy, so that's Shocker down. As mentioned, let's now move on to the range side of things and we'll go fight Dr. Octopus. And we're now on to the range side of things, so there's quite a few skills to actually showcase here. The first one we're using at the moment to take out the mobs there, that was Web Barrage, which is your main spender. This one will spend actual webbing. You do also have a basic attack that we're not showing off, the animation's not great and I don't actually space my bar for it, but that would be Web Shot. So that's useful if you don't have a great deal of webbing and you've not got enough sustain for a spender, you can use that. The next skill we then have is Web Spray. This will do slow as well as vulnerability, and you can actually spam this, so I find it's really quite nice for taking out just random trash. And we follow up with Stick Around. With this one you fill an area with webbing and it immobilises and sticks to enemies. It's a cone attack, relatively short area, so do get up close if you're going to actually use it. There we go, we could see it, just fired it off there and you can see the enemies all immobilised. But the next range skill we look at, this one is Web Sling, and with this you fire off some webs, pull up chunks of earth and fire it towards the enemy, and this gains a damage rating based on your actual dodge rating. We then have Web 'em All. With this one you're firing out a big beam of webbing and it will immobilise the enemy and slow them down. This can actually be quite a nice trash clearing skill, you can see it there, I just fired it off. But finishing up, we have Rapid Fire Webs, and this one fires off lots of webs in a cone area. Again, it doesn't have a massive amount of range on it, but you've got a few options there for taking out trash, so there really is a lot of different skills you can use with the range build, and of course because you wouldn't use them all because some of what they do overlaps, you can then mix in some melee or some movement, so you've got the ultimate Spidey that's really using a combination of everything. And there we go, while I was talking through that we managed to take down Dr. Octopus easy enough. So what we'll do, we'll finish up having a look at the movement skills, and these are really quite fun because Spidey's all about jumping about everywhere, and to do that we will run through the Taskmaster terminal. For this final section then we've got the Iron Spider costume on, so you can see some of the animations on it going off, and we also have 3 movement skills and a taunt to look at. So movement skill wise, you have Evasive Web Sling, and with this you immobilise the enemies and you'll leap away and fire webbing towards them. You would use this on an enemy to jump away back. After you've used it, you would then use Spider Slam, so you jump away back in again. Now these 2 skills are on a low cooldown of 4 seconds, and they actually synergise with Leaping Assault by selecting certain talents, and the way it works is when you use Evasive Web Sling and Spider Slam, it lowers the cooldown of Leaping Assault, which is normally on an 8-second cooldown, but you can pull it down much more than that. So they do work really well together, all these different movement skills. You've got yourself bouncing about, you're bouncing back and firing webbing and immobilising, you're jumping back in, and then you're doing the harder hitting Leaping Assault. It does have a 100% crit chance, so I really do like the synergy between these 3 different movement skills a lot. On to the final skill we look at, which is a different one. It's a taunt, but it has to be with Spidey. He's known for his wisecracking and sending enemies mad, which is one of the reasons he manages to defeat them, partly by kind of winding them up so much. But with this, you'll weaken the enemy, you'll taunt them, and you also gain an increased dodge chance while you're using it as well. So it's really quite a nice skill there. But we'll run through. There we go, a splinter there. Can't have enough of them. You could see the, don't know if you would even call them tentacles, but you could see the arms, maybe I would call them, metal arms coming out of the back of the suit there, and they do look great. Let's jump about here, show off all these movement skills to take out Tasky. For me, this does feel the kind of quintessential Spider-Man leaping about the screen everywhere. I would say this is potentially my favourite series of skills out the lot that we've looked at in this video. There we go, a nice leaping assault slam with its 100% crit to finish Taskmaster off there. So I hope this particular series of videos is informative to you. I hope you're actually enjoying it. It's quite a lot of work to put out these videos, but I'm hoping they will be useful for new players and players that are looking to spend their splinters or G's on their next hero, because I know it can take a long time to accrue these, or maybe take time to get money for a character. So again, I do hope this series of videos is useful. Do let me know any feedback in the comments below, and really I'll see you all again soon.